Speaking of sell opportunities, there are some certain sell high opportunities, and I got 4 players I want to talk about if you think that these are sell high opportunities or not, okay? So players who come off of strong weeks that we draft early in the season, either you view it one of 2 ways. You view it as, I was right. See, I just had to wait. I was right about the player, or you view it as like, oh shit, now it's time to get this motherfucker off my team. There's only 2 ways you view it. I got 4 players who played really well in week 4. I want to talk about if you think if they're sell high candidates or not. DeAndre Swift. I'll go first on this one. I'll let you go first on the next one. DeAndre Swift had a really strong effort this weekend, involved in the passing game, had over 150 total yards. Like, this is what you want to see. Oh, I think almost 150 total yards. That's what you want to see out of DeAndre
180.
Swift. 180 total yards. Good to go there, right? And this was a really strong effort from him in a game that he absolutely needed. There was a lot of talk about Rashawn Johnson being the next guy in there and potentially taking over. I was probably part of that train. I think this is sell high. Like, when it comes to that this line's bad, I think that this team will be better. But I do look at this as like, yo, if you can sell him at RB2 levels, do it. If you're not getting RB2 levels, you just hold his ass.
I want to say sell, but honestly, I'd probably just hold. And the reason why I would hold is he's still seeing good snaps. Now, and he's one of these players too that I don't think he should be a guy who's playing 70% of the snaps. I think it should be, once again, like kind of Jahmyr Gibbs. He should be one of these guys in the split backfield. And I think with Roschon there, I think that's honestly kind of good. Now, what I don't like is Roschon Johnson didn't have the goal line carry, which worries me. But like the big thing with DeAndre Swift is always the receiving upside with DeAndre Swift. And you kind of saw it this weekend. And he's an explosive player. I have confidence that this offense will get better. I believe in Caleb. I think he gets better. I'm going to hold on DeAndre Swift. And the other reason being, too, is like, you know this, throughout the season, like running back becomes brutal at the end of the year. Like, so bad that you're just trying to get these scraps throughout the week and looking for guys, especially during bye weeks and injuries pile up, plug and play. So for me personally, like running backs are always really difficult for me to sell. I would hold. And also the other thing too, I don't know if anybody wants to buy him. I feel like he's the obvious sell.
Yeah, like obvious sell high candidate.
Yeah, like I don't know. I'm buying that.
Coming off of that was the easiest matchup you could have against the Rams. They've been a bottom feeder against pretty much every fantasy position. But I don't know. I got him as a sell. You got him as a hold. Not bad. Michael Pittman. Strong game for the Indianapolis Colts. We saw Joe Flacco enter the game, but even before that, we saw Anthony Richardson getting the ball to Michael Pittman. It looked like there was an added effort to get him in. He has not scored a touchdown on the year. You think he is a sell high candidate or a buy low?
I'm selling on this one. The reason being is, if Joe Flacco was the quarterback, and I know he had most of his, it was like half his damage. He was right around 120 receiving yards. So it was like half of its damage was with AR-15 and then the other half with Joe Flacco. I just think like Anthony Richardson's too inconsistent. And I think it's going to be too inconsistent all season long. I don't view this team ever as a high volume passing offense either, which is the big problem there. And how many passing touchdowns is Anthony Richardson truly going to have this year? So for me, I wasn't very high on him this year. I think that's a good opportunity to get out if you can. I'd be selling.
Michael Pittman has a brutal stretch down the fantasy playoff schedule. So I really like Michael Pittman.
I think he's very good.
He's just an inconsistent player. And I think when you have an inconsistent quarterback, you have an inconsistent offense, it's just going to lead to inconsistency, which you don't want to have in your starting lineup. And Michael Pittman is a starter for you. If you play Michael Pittman, you have to start him. Like, he's not an option you want to keep on your bench. So, I mean, you talk about after week 5, they play Jacksonville. You got Tennessee with L'Jarius Sneed. You got Miami with Ramsey. You got Houston with Stingley. You got Minnesota with Gilmore. You got Buffalo with Rasul Douglas. You have the Jets with Sauce Gardner. You got Detroit. You have Christian Gonzalez in 13. You got bye week 14. You got Patrick Surtain in 15. L'Jarius Sneed again in 16.
That is.
I love you, rough. Michael Pittman, but I'm out.
Yeah, that's pretty rough there. Yeah.
I'm a big Michael Pittman guy, but I think I would treat him as an inconsistent wide receiver 3. And if I can move off of him after this week, I think I might take the opportunity to do so. It was bad. That's one of the guys I kind of regret talking up a little bit because I feel like I didn't look enough into the schedule, who they were going to be playing, et cetera. So If you drafted Pittman and then you want to blame me, throw whatever tomatoes you want in my face. It's all good. Chuba Hubbard has played really well as of late over the last 2 games since Andy Dalton has taken over here. Is he a sell high for you in the moment? Coming off of back-to-back 100-yard games, we know Jonathan Brooks' practice window is about to open. I think he's the coaches are saying he's in the final stages of his return, which means his window should open up here in the next week or two, coming off of IR, presumably this week. How are you feeling about Chuba Hubbard? Is he a committee, buy low, sell high off of this recent performance? What are you doing?
I'm honestly just gonna hold like with him, and the reason being is just because like you drafted Chuba Hubbard knowing this, right? Like you knew he was going to be a part-time rental until Jonathan Brooks came back. And we've talked about this too, right? Jonathan Brooks, the hope is that he's healthy and he's able to overtake these guys and be the guy, but there's also a chance that he doesn't. And it's a committee all year long and they don't, or he pulls a hamstring or something. I don't know. I don't know. There's so many different things that could happen that I would just roll out Chuba Hubbard because like with this new offense with Andy Dalton here, he's an RB1. He's playing like an RB1. He scored 20 fantasy points back-to-back games. And he's playing the snaps. He played over 70% of the snaps this weekend. So I would just continue to roll him out and I would just hold on to him because if the Jonathan Brooks doesn't work out, hey, you got the guy that you drafted in the 11th round for the stud. He's a stud.
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, you got to start a running back for the next couple of weeks. And so I don't know. I don't necessarily think he's a sell high guy because we don't know what Brooks is going to look like. We don't know what his role is going to look like. But if you can, I think if I could sell him as a top 20 running back, I would. That's the time where I'd be like, if I could sell him as a top 20 guy, or say I was a savvy owner in my league and I said, you know what, CMC, I want a player that I could trade. Now I'm trying to throw Chuba Hubbard out there for CMC, because now I know I have upside on the back end. So you trade the certainty for upside. That's how you win your leagues. And then the last player, Chase Brown, has come with back-to-back decent performances now, getting a little bit more involved. Your boy, Chase Brown, over 20 fantasy points this weekend, scored twice. I'm selling out. I'm selling high just because it's a split committee. I think he's a top 40-ish type back, but I'm splitting. I think he's a flex. If you could sell as he's a top 30 back right now. If I can get top 30 price for him, I'm selling for him. And listen, I think he'll be good throughout the year, and there's going to be times where he's utilized, but it's kind of that consistency factor. I just see Zach Moss as the lead guy. I think he's kind of the lead back here. I don't think he's played over 40% of the snaps yet, Chase Brown. So to me, I'm that's kind of where I see this differentiation between the two, is that Zach Moss is going to be involved. Chase Brown, you're kind of hoping on a week-to-week basis he is. I'm selling high. I don't know about you.
I mean, it's just going to be boring take. I'm just going to hold. And the reason why I'm going to hold, the one thing that I'm kind of holding out hope for, and this was kind of the thing heading into the season, is that Chase Brown on limited touches last year was one of the most efficient backs in the NFL, up there with honestly, Devon Achane and these kind of guys. So Kenneth Walker too. He was very good on limited touches, very efficient. In the past 2 weeks, he's been much more efficient than Zach Moss. Now, I'm not saying this is going to continue throughout the entirety of the season, but there's a different explosiveness with Chase Brown than there is with Zach Moss. And I think that both these guys, kind of like what you said, is they can coexist, in my opinion. This is a team that we know that there's a lot of potential with this offense, with the guys that they have, and Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. We know that there's a lot of upside. And the other thing too is if one of these guys goes down, you're talking about a guy that's an absolute rock solid RB2 at the worst, right? I am a little concerned with the snap share the first few weeks of the season, but these past 2 weeks it has increased and he's at 40%, the highest he's seen all season. Encouraging. I would just hold out hope that continues to rise because I had my take on him. I'm going to continue with my take, and it's still early too, right? We're only week 4. Things can change, and we talked about this last week too. This team was 0-3. They played Carolina, the bad team, but
all right. So who would you rather have? You got to let me give you 2-3 players. You rather have Chase Brown or you rather have DeAndre Swift?
Neither. I would just, I guess DeAndre Swift, because he's at least the perceived lead back, I would say.
Would you rather have Chase Brown or would you rather have Braylon Allen?
I'd rather go with Chase.
Chase Brown. Would you rather have Chase Brown or like Devin Singletary?
I don't like Devin Singletary.
Yeah.
I guess Devin Singletary. Well, I just don't feel confident with that offense still either. Like I'm not completely sold on what they're doing. And
I'd rather have like a starting caliber back than Chase Brown, but I think he's up there as far as like elite handcuffs. I think he's up there.
yeah, I think that there's a lot of upside. Like for me personally, and that was kind of thing too with Devin Singletary. I think Devin Singletary was a prime like sell high. And I think the longer season goes, I think he's going to lose value. And yeah, where Chase Brown could have his value increase because this offense gets better and he eats up part of this role going forward. So yeah.
Side note, Nick Chubb's practice window is open. So over the next 21 days, there's a chance we will see Nick Chubb at some point here in the very near future. Thoughts on him real quick? Any thoughts on Nick Chubb? He's not a player that I truly invested in. I think it's going to be a tough injury to come back from.
Yeah, I don't like the injury. Older in age, I think Jerome Ford will be involved in this offense as well, like a 1-2 punch with him and Chubb. But we'll see. And also, the Cleveland line's really banged up.
Yeah,
they're very banged up, and they have not been very good. And Deshaun Watson has not been very good. So it's
oh
like
my God.
there's a lot of stuff here where you could have a bad offense with a committee back. Like those kind of things just never really work out. Those are guys that you don't really want a part
We'll
of.
have to talk about Cleveland soon because Cleveland is that's an ugly situation
It is
fantasy wise.
rough.
It feels like there's like times when we can find value out there, and then there's other times where it's just like shitty, bro.
Yeah, they lost. Yeah, they lost to the Raiders, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Ugly,
It's rough.
ugly for the Browns right now. But we're out of here. Appreciate y'all. We will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.